Hi everyone, welcome to Semi-Crafty Librarian. So glad that you're tuning in today. So keeping in the whole easy craft theme, I've got a little project today that is super easy, and I think it's really cute. I think you guys are gonna really like it. So supplies, really basic supplies. You need some newspaper, you need some watercolor paint. You can use acrylic paint, markers, crayons. Today I'm demonstrating with watercolor paint because I think that looks really great. You're going to need some scissors. You're going to need some little doodads like pom-poms. Maybe you've got a button. I used a little brad, so I'll show you what I mean in a little while here. Something to poke a tiny little hole through some newspaper. I just opened up a paper clip and used that. Some pipe cleaners, if you want to use pipe cleaners. A little bit of yarn or string will work. A pencil for drawing, which you've noticed I've stuck in my glue cup and now has glue on my lead. That's okay, it'll still write. And some sort of strong glue. So I'm using this Craft Bond glue. But whatever glue you might need or might have, and a little glue stick if you want to use a glue stick. Okay, so what are we making? Let me show you guys. We're going to make some recycled newspaper flowers. Okay, so I think these are really cute, and we'll talk a little bit about how you can turn these into a garland after you make a few, some other options that you can use after you've made these. But let me show you how simple and easy this is. All right, so with your newspaper, you're going to find a section of your newspaper that doesn't have pictures, but has a lot of words. Okay, so you want to paint, color, draw, whatever, on the section of your paper that has the most words. So let me show you how simple. With your paintbrush and your watercolor paint, and here's a little trick before you use watercolors. If you just dab a little bit of water on them and soften them up by the time you're ready to paint, you're going to get more paint pigment on your paintbrush. So let's use something really bright. Let's use this pretty tealish blue color. You're going to load up your paintbrush and you're just going to paint across the words. And so what I like about the watercolor is it's translucent. So you can kind of still see some of the words underneath the paint. I like that. If you want to try this using acrylic paint, it's going to probably go down a little bit thicker. It's going to be a different look. You might not see as much of the newspaper behind it. So give that a try if you've got some acrylic paint. And then you just keep going with whatever colors that you want to use. So we've got that teal color. Let's use a little bit of this kind of spring green, this kind of yellow greeny color here. And it's the same thing. So of course, these are watercolors. If you want it to look a little more light, you just add more water to the paint and you're going to get a more diluted color on your paper. So just continue. Paint. You're going to want to paint some big squares because that's going to make your larger size petals, and then you can paint some smaller squares if you want, or just paint all big squares and you can cut them down. That's just as easy too. So that's basically how you paint your square. It dries really fast, and after it's dry you're just going to go and you're going to cut the squares out. So I'll just show you real quick here, and you can see that I also have some squares of various colors already dried, already painted, dried, and cut out. But once you paint, once you dry, you can cut them out, and these are the pieces that are going to form your flower petals. So, like I said here, I've got a bunch of colors already ready to go that I've kind of put in the different color categories here. So I also painted this one that has 3 different colors on the same square. And I thought we would make a flower together and see what it looks like when you use different colors on your square or on your page. So let's cut this one out. And as usual, you can get as detailed as you want with this. You know, if you've watched a couple of Semi-Crafty Librarian shows, you know I don't get real detailed. I generally don't use a pattern. I just kind of freehand it, just cut out, and whatever happens, happens. But sometimes you want something a little more detailed. So I'm just going to come on here and I'm just going to draw kind of a flower shape, kind of whatever shape you might think a flower looks like. So I happen to have one of these pair of scissors that has a patterned edge. So I'm going to use that to cut this flower petal out. Let's see what it looks like. Now you might like just a smooth edge, and that's fine too. Or if you have other patterned scissors, whatever you think you might like for your flower petals. Okay, so here's the first layer. And you can do as many layers as you want. So when I bring these over and show you these each have 2 layers of a large petal, 2 layers of a medium-sized petal, and then 1 smaller petal. But you can do it however you would like to do it. So let's cut that out, and then let's cut this one out too that has the pretty blue, green, and red on it. And I'm not going to draw this time. I'm just going to kind of make what I hope is going to look like a flower petal after I cut it out. And I really like these crafts where you don't have to be super, super detailed. I have more fun with them, and it's less disappointing if something doesn't work out. So you've got 2 big petals here, and you're going to lay them right on top of each other. So I think let's use another purple one. And I'm going to use the regular scissors, and I'm just going to cut another petal a little bit smaller than this one. So I'm going to come in here, and if you want all your petals to be the same shape, that's when you really want to draw a pattern, okay? So I'm going to place that one right on top of there. And let's see, I think I'm going to do a yellow in the middle. So I'm going to get this yellow paper here, and I'm going to draw or cut a really small one for the middle. Okay, so I'm going to put that one right there like that. So you've got your layers of paper like that. And I think before we attach those, let's make another super tiny one. I think it'd be cute to make a super tiny one. So let's start with the bottom petal. Let's cut our petal out. And this will be the bottom petal. You can see it's a little bit smaller. Then let's use, it's not quite the same color, it's a little more purpley. Let's cut out another one that's going to go on top of this. Okay, then let's do some orange. We'll cut out an orange one, and we're going to go just a tiny bit smaller than what's already there. Put that down like that, and let's do this a little bit lighter shade of orange. And I'm going to kind of cut it a different size, and I'm going to, or a different shape, put it right there. And then for the middle, let's do this bright green color. So I'm just going to cut out another really tiny one and put it right there in the middle. Okay, so what do you do next? You take your paper clip, you bend it out, and you're going to poke a hole right through the middle, like that. So you've got a little hole in the center there. Let's do it with this one over here, like that. And if you have one of these brads, which I used, I thought it worked out really well. You're going to stick the pointy end through the hole. So you've got that there, flip it over, and you're going to bend down the brad, okay, so it attaches it. So I tried the same thing here with a little bit of pipe cleaner, and that worked too. Now I had to make the hole a little bit wider for the pipe cleaner to go through. So let me use my pencil and make the hole just a tiny bit bigger in the middle. Okay, so then you're going to put your pipe cleaner through. Make a little round part here. So it's the middle of the flower, like that. And then you can just kind of wrap it around the back too, or tie it in a knot, whatever you want to secure it. So then you've got your two flowers, and to make it look a little more like a flower, you're just going to bend up the petals so that they kind of stick out a little bit, stick up a little bit. So you can smush them up pretty good. Okay, and then open them up a little bit. Let's do the same one over here. Okay, so I saw a picture of these and I thought they looked pretty cool. And then I kind of thought to myself, well, what are you going to do with these? Like, once you have them, like, then what? Aside from the fact that they're fun and easy to make, then what are you going to do with them? And I thought it would be really pretty to make like a garland that you can swag from your window, from your fireplace mantle, something like that. So before we move on though, I'm going to show you how you can just glue a little pom-pom or a little button on top of your brad to give it a little more texture, a little more definition there. Look a little bit more like a flower. You can use one of these tiny little pom-poms too, or like what I did with my other one, you can use a button. So how do you make a garland? Well, I attached the two that I made earlier with some yarn. You could use whatever kind of string or yarn you want. And basically what I did, we'll see if this little pom-pom stays on there. Turn it upside down. You just take your string and you wrap it underneath the brad in this case, like that. And then, oops, our little pom-pom fell off. I thought that might happen. That's okay. Put our small one there and you wrap it around. And then I realized when I held it up, they kind of flopped around a little bit. So what you're going to need to do is to glue them together with your glue stick or your glue. So let's turn it back around this way. And I'm just going to put a little bit of glue here. And I'm going to glue it to the next petal on the next flower. Maybe you want to space these out a little bit more so that you see more of the flower. I think I will glue this one right there like that. And maybe the tiny one. You probably want to do all of the same size if you're making a garland, rather than glue a small and a large one together, but you get the gist of it. So then you would hang this across your mantle, maybe across your window. I just think they're really pretty. So if you've got other ideas how you can use these paper flowers, let me know what they might be. And I really hope that you enjoy making these. It's a good way to recycle some newspaper and be creative and have fun, especially if you've got younger kids. They could do this too. So we'll see you next time. Bye.